Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Colleen Meyer and Mintz LLC. I'm bringing to you on Fearless in Pink another interview with the author, Ellen McFay. Ellen McFay is the author of the series The Immortal Guardians, and she is releasing book one called The Rise of the Shadow King. And she's going to tell us a little bit about it, and then she's going to read us chapter one. So we're excited to have her here. Ellen, you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about the book one, The Rise of the Shadow King.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ellen McFay. I am the author of The Immortal Guardians, Rise of the Shadow King. And basically what it's about is this seemingly ordinary teenager named Jesselyn Scrallowin seemingly sees ordinary on the surface, your modern, typical, everyday teenager. And she finds out from her Nana Josephine, that's her guardian. She learns that she is an immortal warrior called a centurion, and their abilities that they can see demons and these dark creatures that normal human beings cannot see. So she has this ability, and her Nana Josephine tells her on her birthday. After that, everything just completely changes. She meets others like her. She learns about the Shadow King. He can control the demons. His name is Theron. And he's very, very vile, very, very evil. And Jesselyn, her main, she's the protagonist, so she has to find and face off eventually against the villain, Theron, who's also Centurion King himself. But she learns to grow in her journey. She meets others like her, and she also learns that fear is not an option, that fear can be used against you as a weapon, but your courage and your redemption and your strength, and also strength in friends and others, and unlocking her abilities, that's what helps her eventually face off against the Shadow King that's there in Valen.
So the genre your book is the young adult fantasy novel, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and start reading a little bit of chapter one for us?
Sure, absolutely.
Oh yeah, show everybody the cover of your book. So nice. And this is in modern day New York, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead. I'm excited to hear it.
Oh, of course. I was excited to write it. All right. I will begin reading chapter one. Sorry. Chapter one is Nana's Gift. Sorry, I can see that.
I don't know if anybody can see that. What's the name of it?
Chapter one, Nana's Gift.
No, Nana's Gift. Okay.
Yes. A bright golden sun ray beamed from this eastwards dark cerulean blue sky, peeking just over the treetops as if engaged in a silent game of peeking. As the earliest light of day appeared in the skies, the sun reflected against the skyscrapers and the townhouses that lined the avenues, shadows disappearing from around bends and corners as if trying to outrun the morning and the coming day. Laid out across the dewy malachite green grass with her lower back propped against a tree, her books and sketching pad with colored pencils scattered around nearby, was a young girl with thick, long, slightly wavy, but straight black hair with natural brown highlights and light, caramel complexioned, smooth skin. The girl, 16-year-old Jesselyn Jess Scrallowin, loved the park. She loved to wake up before anyone else and get a start on the day by coming to Central Park to enjoy the view of the sunrise. She would bring her art supplies with her to draw something interesting or just to capture the sunlit sky in her sketches. Nana Josephine, Jesselyn's beloved grandmother and her only legal guardian, would always joke that Jesselyn's parents should have named her Sunrise, since she liked watching them in the mornings. More people entered the park, a jogging couple on a trail to the far left, a family of four tossing around a frisbee, and the dog walkers who were frequent visitors. A light breeze made the grass dance and the leaves waved a soft, welcoming hello from the tree branches, swaying against the breeze as it lifted. Jesselyn was so comfortable on the soft grass that she soon fell into a doze. Her eyes fluttered open, however, as distant sounds echoed from one of the park's many entrances. Immediately, she sat up and looked around at her surroundings. slightly irritated that her nap was being interrupted. The sound of more people entering the park was what got her attention. But what really made her sit up was a nearby sound, like the rustling of leaves and footsteps, like someone walking on dead leaves, crunching them underfoot. Hastily, Jessalyn gathered her things into her backpack and stood up. A light breeze blew into air, blowing stray strands of hair into her face. She hastily pushed her hair from her eyes and slowly turned around, sensing the presence of a pair of eyes watching her. As she turned, she gasped, her breath catching in her throat. Her heartbeat accelerated, slamming against her rib cage. She thought she saw a shadowed figure moving toward her. As she got a good look at the creature, she could not see the face, but the figure was hooded and wearing dark clothes. Jessalyn retreated, backwards slowly, her back brushing a rock wall. She was instantly paralyzed with fear, unable to do anything but stare. The hooded figure took another step forward and then stopped, several feet away. Then the figure stared directly at her. Its eyes were the color of endless fire pits. It made a low, rumbling sound from beneath its hood, like a snarling coyote, good and ready to tear its prey to shreds. It opened its mouth, exposing several rows of sharp, glass shard teeth. Jessalyn broke her paralysis and turned to run. As she ran, her legs tangled under her. She went sprawling on the ground, tripping over her own feet. Jessalyn hastened to get back up and ran for it. She ran and ran until she bumped into a male passerby, knocking them both to the ground.
Hmm.
Whoa! Slow down. Who are you running from? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Jessalyn cried as she helped him to his feet. It's okay, really. They stared at each other as they stood back up. Jess, is that you? It's me, Zed. Zed was a handsome boy, but more of an average Joe handsomeness, with a slim, athletic build and slightly straight jet black hair that curled slightly in waves around his head. His beige skin and a perfect aquiline nose. He had hazel brown eyes and resembled the younger version of some famous basketball player. Oh, hi, Zed. By the way, did you just see? But as he turned to look back, the spot where the mysterious hooded figure was standing empty. See what? Jess said, his eyebrows raised quizzically as he stood looking over her shoulder. But I swear I saw someone standing there. Oh, never mind then, Jocelyn said, impatiently with a wave of her hand. The ghosts are chasing you, Jess. Run for your life, Zed said, in a playful voice, smirking. Very funny, Zed, Jocelyn said as she playfully slapped him. She rearranged her knapsack around her torso and shoulder. They changed the subject as if nothing happened, to Jocelyn's complete satisfaction. So, what are you doing out here so early? Zed inquired, sipping on a small coffee in a styrofoam cup. I like to come out and watch the sunrise. Never mind me. What are you doing up so early? Zed took another sip from the dark brown frothing liquid before replying. I was going for my usual walking cup of joe. I can't believe you even drink that crap. It tastes funny, like it was, Jessalyn said. Freshly ground, Zed finished, with a half chuckle. I know, but still, this funny tasting drink keeps me awake during Mr. Donovan's boring lessons, he replied. So you say, she hastily replied. She turned and headed for home. I have to go. Nana will be worrying where I am. Do you mind if I walk you home? They had already started walking towards one of the park's exits. Okay, but I have to warn you, Nana Josephine is nosy. She'll think we're dating or something. But aren't we? Kidding, just kidding, Zed quickly added when he saw the sour expression on Jocelyn's face. You are cute, I'll give you that. But don't let it get to your head, Jocelyn said. The walk took 10 minutes. Traffic crawled slowly by, a siren wailing in the distance as it made its way through the traffic jam. The spring sun felt warm on Jocelyn's back. She always liked springtime. For one thing, her birthday was right around the corner, in a couple of days. The weather was almost always perfect, though with the occasional rainy days. They reached an apartment complex which housed brand new, recently renovated buildings. They stopped in front of one which read 280 West 59th Street. Cool, so this is where you live. Nice place, Zed said, looking up with humble praise and admiration. Thanks. Jesselyn turned to face Zed. So I'll see you later? At school? Yep, Zed said. Jesselyn amicably embraced him, her hair brushing against his cheek. He embraced her back, balancing his coffee in one hand. Thanks for walking me home, she said. As he released him, he shrugged, dramatically, swaying his arms from side to side as he spoke. So, am I going to get a kiss or something? Bye, Zed, Jesselyn said, smiling. She was buzzed in and closed the door as Zed turned to leave. Josephine, Jesselyn's grandmother, was in the family sitting room, aka the living room, seated at a sewing machine, making her garments herself for the day. It was because of Nana's talent in sewing that brought in the income that paid for the nice apartments they lived in. People from all five boroughs would come over to Nana's store to buy her handmade garments. She would even make a clothes, sometimes dresses even, for the female children of wealthy clients, very wealthy clients. Much of Jesselyn's childhood clothes was made up by Josephine herself. Good morning, Jess, she replied. You're up early today. Hi, Nana, Jesselyn replied, walking over to her grandmother and kissing her on the cheek. At 64 years of age, Nana still looked great, her topaz eyes full of life and spirit. She was slim and healthy for a woman her age, and of medium height, with tan skin and silvery black hair that she always wore in a braid or a bun at the back of her head. Nana's parents were a Native American and black mother and a British father. So, did you draw anything interesting today? Nana asked, and turned back to a sewing machine. Not really, Jesselyn replied. So, I see that Zachariah walked you home today. He must really like you a lot, Nana said, a smug look on her face that almost irritated Jesselyn. She knew what Nana was hinting at, but she was not prepared to go there. Oh, him? Zed? He's just a friend, that's all, Jesselyn said dismissively. It's been that way since middle school, Nana. You know that. I see how he looks at you every time you bring him here. I doubt he considers you as just a friend, Jess, Nana persisted. I am so not ready for a boyfriend yet, Nana. I'm only 16, Jesselyn pouted. So you say. I was 14 when I met my husband, God rest his soul. Nana's husband, Jeremiah Flint, had died when Jesselyn was only 2, so she barely knew him. A portrait of him sat in a golden gilt frame on the mantel in the living room. Someday you will marry, even have children. It's the duty of women when they come of age. Nana stopped talking immediately when she saw the horrified look that crossed Jesselyn's face as she flinched. Not with Zed, not ever. Nana, I'm still practically a kid, Jesselyn said. Nana sighed and said, That's what I admire most about you, Jess. You take your time to grow up. Not rushing anything like these girls nowadays, Nana trailed off. Yes, Nana, I'm still a virgin in case you were wondering, Jesselyn said flatly, a smirk on her face. She tried hard not to laugh at the imminent look of shock that crossed Nana Josephine's face. Picking up her knapsack, Jesselyn retreated to her room and threw down her school bag. She then got her books together for school. She went into the bathroom, threw cool water over her face, and re-entered her room, changing into a dark-dyed jeans with cutout patterns on the front and a short-sleeved stylish t-shirt with a Leo leopard pattern on the front. Slipping on her white jeans jacket, leaving it unbuttoned, she took one long glance in the full-length mirror as she pulled her hair into a bushy ponytail. Jesselyn had a slender waistline with small hips, which went well with skinny jeans. Grabbing her book knapsack bag, she headed for the living room. Jesselyn picked up a piece of toast from a pile on the plate and headed for the door, munching on it. Bye-bye, Nana, she replied. Her hand was turning on the knob and Nana stopped her. Wait, I have something for you, Nana said. Jesselyn turned toward her, finished her toast, and brushed off remaining crumbs. What is it? Nana retreated without answering into her own bedroom. Minutes later, she appeared carrying a small wooden box, gilded gold decorating the sides of it. She then opened the box and took out a small crystal pendant of the finest glass, only it was more solid than glass, glowing a faint blue hue. Now, I know it's a bit early for your birthday, but your mom said to pass it on to you when you turned 17, Nana replied. It's beautiful, Jessalyn said. She put it around her neck. One more thing. You must promise me never to take it off. Jessalyn looked a puzzled expression on her face. Why? Nana only smiled, then said, when the right time comes, you will know. Now go on, or you will really be late for school. And that was the reading of chapter 1.
That's
Nana
very
said,
good. Yeah, I can. You know what I like about your book is, and I think this is a sign of a good writer. As you're reading the book, I'm picturing it in my head. I can see Nana. I can see the young man. I can see her, and in the house, and man, don't take this off ever. And you can visualize the characters, and I think that's a sign of a good author. Now let's talk a little bit about chapter 2. Now, next time we go live, and we'll announce it, the date and time. We're going to have you read chapter 2, and then then your book will re-release, and people can go buy your book. We're just giving them a little taste of it now. So let's talk. Just give us a smidgen about book number 2. Can you? Because this is the Rise of the Shadow King. We already talked about Jessalyn, and we talked about um, she has a family. This is all about family connection. This is about finding love to me, and it's also about battling good and evil in this first book. So, can you tell us maybe tell us a little bit about, without telling the plot, a little bit about, maybe a little bit more about book 1, but definitely tell us, well, what to expect from book 2. Like, what's the title, and maybe when that releases also.
okay, well, in book 1, definitely Theron is the bad guy in this book. And book 1, I'm going to lead the readers into a journey to see where Jessalyn goes next, where Sia meets others like her, and when she learns eventually Nana, well, she told her not to take the necklace off. It's a reason. I'm going to leave that to Missy. I don't give too
Oh
much.
yeah, we're going to leave that one for when we read the book. It'll be a surprise.
The necklace is central to the story. That's all I'm going to say. And it helps Jessalyn. That's all I'm going to say. And then so book 2, well, book 2 gets a little bit more adventurous, a little more rockier. And of course, there's villain in that one too. And I'm not going to give that one too much away, but there's definitely more adventure and more barockier, more risk taking, definitely in in book 2. I'm sorry.
So when do we expect book 2 to come out? I know that we're going to be re-releasing the Rise of the Shadow King. And what's the title again of book 2, and when do you expect it to be released?
Book 2 is The Dark Mist. And
I love that title. The Dark Mist.
Very interesting, very adventurous. And I expect that to be released probably in June or August. I'm leaning more towards the early August, June, definitely.
Okay, so late summer for that. That's going to be great. Now let's shift gears a little bit, because I don't know if our audience knows this. I don't know if we talked about this when we did our interview on Fearless in Pink, but you also are writing movie scripts.
Yes, that's correct.
And we have somebody looking at your script right now that's going to be, getting back with us. So tell me so obviously you have this, imagination, which writers need. And you love this genre. You love the young adult fantasy novel, and I know you like horror. And now you're going to be stepping out there into looking at writing a script. Tell us a little bit about that. That's fascinating.
Of course. The script I'm working on, well, I have worked on, I'm working on it sort of like a dystopian, sort of like futuristic. One of them's named Forced to Comply. And it's about what if after, say, World War III does happen, but only one nuke got launched and, say, a couple countries got taken out, but it focuses primarily on the American contingent of what would happen, and the people, the survivors, they are how to survive. And there's this wall that's built up around cities, and they teach the children at a very young age, all the generations, don't go beyond this wall, don't go beyond this wall, it's not safe. And what they don't know is that there's mutants living out there, and there's other things up beyond the wall too. Let's say it's like set in America, it happened in other countries as well, but it primarily focuses on America's version of the story.
I love that. When you talk about the wall, it reminds me a little bit of the wall on Game of Thrones. So, that's going to be interesting. What's beyond the wall?
Exactly.
It's that, it's that mystery and that unknown that takes the reader or the, person that's, that's reading or, maybe down the road watching. It takes them through this journey. And I think you do a good job with your books, The Rise of the Shadow King, and coming soon book 2 of the Immortal Guardian series. I think that you do well with that. You set up kind of a mystery. You set up a suspense. When you were reading, I'm like, and I'm picturing all this going on in my head, and I'm like, okay, now what? Okay, now what's happening? Wait a minute, you can't end there. I want to know why she can't take the necklace off. Why? What does Nana know that I don't know? And I want to know what Nana knows. So I think that, I think you do a great job with that, and that you're branching out into writing a script. So is your script that you wrote, is it more of the same thing? Obviously, it's probably not young adult fantasy novel, but would it be more of a like a
think Divergent, sort of Divergent and Twilight put together, and the Maze Runner sort of. And I wrote this, but even before I even seen the Maze Runner, I haven't even heard of the Maze Runner. They say great minds think alike. So when I saw the Maze Runner for the first time, I'm like, wow, that sounds just like my novel. And you put Divergent together in it. It's so like that.
Yeah, a lot of people like those type of movies. They've done well. Even if you decide, I'm going to turn it into a book / script, you can make, because, like people write books and then they turn them into scripts. But I think that a lot of people like those type of, like, I don't want to say doomsday. That's not it, but it's that,
dystopian,
right? Yeah, and the people like those type of movies, and I think they and books. I think they do well. Would you ever consider putting that story out as a book as well as a script?
Definitely, I think as a book it would help explain the characters more. The readers, or give them analysis of why they really can't go beyond the wall. Explains everything what happened. I can do a prologue like this is what happened. This is how the world that we know changed. This is why we're not allowed to venture outside of our dome cities, and why what happened and who struck first. Script keeps that in mystery, but the book makes it less ambiguous.
And I think too, people like those movies, type of movies, because you never know that, because there's a possibility of it happening. It's
right.
It's not out of the realm of reality, that these things could happen. We could have a World War III, and it would affect us in other parts of the world. But you're only focusing on the American version perspective of these characters. Now, let's talk a little bit about your series, the Immortal Guardians. Now, we talked, I think last time, were we talking about there's going to be a total of 4 books?
Yes, that's correct.
And
maybe.
maybe we'll say 4, maybe 1 more. We'll see. But I think that it's a good series. I've read it myself. As I'm getting it from you, I'm reading it, and I'm passing it along to people that are young adult fantasy readers, and they also like your plot and your character development. Now, we want to give away an ebook, right? So maybe after book 1 releases, we'll give away and one ebook to so if anybody would be interested, they can IM us, and and we could put their names in a kind of old-fashioned way, and we'll pull a name out of a hat and we
That's
can
good.
send it to them. So respond if they respond to this. They can also visit us at Elaine McFay at Instagram. Yeah, Lynn McFay. And then also our Facebook page, again, Facebook at Lynn McFay. Just IM us and say, put my name in the book drawings, or we'll put a post out how they can sign up. But I think it's going to be a good drawing for people to get a chance to read your book. And I know it's going to hook them. They're going to be like, where's book 2? Come on. Like one of my favorite authors, she writes a book. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Let's go. And you got to wait till they write it and get it out there and get it edited and out there. But you fall in love with authors, and then you fall in love with characters in a book, and you want to see it through. You want to follow their journey, and you want to root for the good guy and for the bad guy. Well, we're coming up on our half an hour. What would you want our listeners to know, or is there anything else you want to share about some of your upcoming books? Maybe book 3. Do you have a title for book 3?
Oh, sure. Book 3 is entitled The Immortal Guardians, Book 3. Let's see, Dark Mists Book 2. Book 3 was how was so long ago before.
Yeah.
The Immortal Army. Definitely.
The Immortal Army. I love that. I mean, I know you're still working on it, so I might tweak a little bit, change.
And then
but
yeah, and readers have no idea what the Immortal Army is. I'll leave that for our imagination.
Yes, we have to use that for the imagination. No telling. No spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, I just want to say thank you for being on again, and we'll set up and let everyone know when we're going to read chapter 2 of your book. Okay. And again, it is The Immortal Guardians, Book 1, The Rise of the Shadow King. There it is. Lynn McFay. And you can get this book. It's going to be on Amazon and also Goodreads. And what's the other? I know there's a third one you're going to have it on.
As far as the Immortal Guardian series, so the third one is the definitely Immortal Army. The book 1, Dark Mist, book 3 is the Immortal Army, and book 4 is Blue Fire. Yeah.
So they can get it as an ebook on Amazon and Good Books and
that's correct.
What's the other one? Lulu? Is it
Lulu.com.
Yeah, so they can get your book on those. So right now it's just an ebook, right? Just right at this time, it's just an ebook.
And also paperback. On Lulu, it's a paperback. And Google Books is also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah, because we know that kids like to have their books, and some adults too. Okay, well, thank you so much, and we appreciate you coming on and talking about your book. Again, the Immortal Guardian series, Book 1, The Rise of the Shadow King. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.